This video is brought to you by the Farmer Klein YouTube channel. Be sure to like, subscribe, and comment.
Hello everybody, welcome back to our Farming Simulator 22 map first impressions video. Today we're going to take a look at Somerset. But before that, this video is brought to you by Crispy1205 and Donald Smart. Thank you for being farm barons. So the Somerset map can be found at the farmingsimulator.com website or the in-game downloadable content menu, and as of the 1.0 release, this map is available for PC players only. Let me read you a little bit of the description. I'm going to have to say this is a massively long description. It is well worth going and spending the time and reading it and understanding it, because the map author has put a ton of very, very useful information in there. But quite honestly, it would probably take me 15 minutes to try to read through this description for you. I'm just going to do some highlights, but please go check out the download page linked in the description below and read the full description, because there's a lot of very important information conveyed there. Welcome to Somerset, a fictional map designed with larger equipment in mind. All roads are wide and secondary roads are AI traffic free. A large farm awaits you with its sophisticated train silo for you to store and move your harvest to and from. The farm also is pre-placed with cow barn, pigsty, chicken pen, horse stable, as well as bees. At the back of the farm, a hayloft silo has also been placed next to two silage clamp. One is used for production of compost, meanwhile the other is used for standard silage. Somerset has two map systems, one that operates in a loop and the other that operates off map as a sell point. On this map, you'll find 59 farmlands, 27 fields, 6 meadows, 4 forest areas divided up into 12 different viable farmlands, 5 flat building lots, 2 pre-built farms, a custom precision farming soil map, contracts including 2 fields with balings, 20 plus pre-placed productions. As well, we also have a pre-placed farm product production, 2 pre-placed compost clamps, 20 pre-placed sell points, and then there's a couple very important notes I do want to cover. On the map, there are 5 green garden sheds. When you sell those sheds, certain things like farm decorations will go away, but you must own the corresponding farmland in order for that to happen. In addition, you can sell the BGA, but you must own the BGA before you can do that. All of the productions are also going to require pallets, and we'll be doing a production run through here later on in the video. Now, like I said, there is a lot going on in this description. It is well worth taking your time and reading it and digesting it, because it will help you out significantly in understanding and playing on this map. Now, this map does have some required mods. So those required mods include the biotank, compost, crude oil production, farm factory, flavored milk bottle factory, lizard animal barns, the Lizard Apache Fleetside 1958, lizard cow barns, lizard multipurpose sheds, pallet factory, ranch garage, ranch gate, ranch house, silo and containers, and of course the map itself. Now, in addition to those required mods, we are going to also be using the mods we typically use when we look at maps. They are additional field info, additional game settings, animal food overview, field lease, field calculator, precision farming, and the straw harvest pack. Now, I will tell you, if you load this map up in farm manager mode or start from scratch, the main farm is mostly empty of buildings. Your main farm silo is going to remain there, as well as the hayloft. You can sell the hayloft, but the farm silo is going to be permanently a part of the map. And then in addition, you do have some deco elements and the green garden shed that is going to be there in all play modes. But of course, you can sell the garden shed, and that is going to also get rid of a lot of the deco elements that are going to remain in those alternate game modes. I did also load this map up with a low-end system that is running on integrated AMD graphics, and I can tell you that this map had no problems whatsoever running a full 60 steady frames per second at 1080p. Now, when we load in the map for the very first time, we do start down here at the shop, kind of in town. Let's go ahead and take a look at the PDA itself. So we start over here in the kind of the mid-western area of the map, and our main starting farm is down here kind of to the southeast. There's also another second pre-placed farm in the northeast. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. We do have all our standard crops available to us in Farm Sim 22 available on this map. In addition, if you do own the premium expansion, you will have your red beets, carrots, and parsnips. Go ahead and take a look at our lands overview. We start out with farmland ID 31. That is the main starting farm. That can be bought in any alternate game mode for $361,000. In addition to that, we do start out with a field in farmland ID 16. We also have farmland ID 52. And we have a very small plot of land up here in the extreme northwest corner, farmland ID 59. Those are all pre-owned at the start in new farmer mode. With respect to alternate farms and alternate building sites, we have an alternate farm up here at farmland ID 32 that can be bought for $323,000. There are sheep and cows up at that farmland area. In addition, we have buildable sites at farmland ID 46 for $80,000, as well as farmland ID 48 for $32,000, farmland ID 52, which we already own. We can clear that area and build whatever we want at $23,000. Farmland ID 49 for $31,000. And Farmland ID 47 for $30,988. Lastly, there are a series of greenhouses located at Farmland ID 28 that can be bought for $33,792. Let's go ahead and take a look at our farmland lease screen. This is going to show us all of the buyable farmlands, how large those farmlands are, if those farmlands include any field or fields, what is included. Then lastly, how much is that farmland going to cost us? We can now cross-reference that with our field calculator screen. This is going to show us the specific sizes of each particular field. And let's go ahead and see how this custom soil map is being applied to these fields. You can see our starting field of 16 is going to be composed of loamy sand, sandy loam, and loam. In fact, a lot of the fields are going to be a combination of at least 3 different soil types scattered around here in the south. And then to the north, seems like we ditch the loamy sand and we pick up predominantly silty clay and sandy loam. Take a look at our crop counter. We do have a fairly standard looking crop counter available to us on this map. And looking down through our prices screen, we do indeed have the ability to sell all of our base game crops that we can grow here on this map, as well as our annual outputs in eggs, wool, and milk, and our silage, hay, straw, and grass. Looking down through all the base game productions, we do indeed have the ability of selling every single base game production item that is available to us here on Farm Sim 22. In addition, we do have the ability of buying and selling lime, as well as selling our stones. With respect to the Platinum expansion, we do indeed have the ability to sell the Platinum expansion production items at the farmer's market. And then, of course, we do have the ability of selling our Premium expansion production items as well. In addition, if you are playing with pumps and hoses, we do have the ability of getting rid of our separated manure, and we do have some custom productions or fill types that are on this map that are either built in or a part of the required mods fill types. We have compost, crude oil, paraffin, kerosene, motor oil, bearing grease, oat milk bottle, bottle of soy milk, bottle of chocolate milk, or bottle of strawberry milk. Actually, you know what? Put a comment down below. Strawberry or chocolate? Which one? Which one? Chocolate cow or pink cow? French fries, premium potatoes, pallets. If you are playing with straw harvest, we do have the ability of getting rid of our hay and straw pellets. And of course, lastly, our red beets, carrots, and parsnips are all good to go. With respect to our starting fleet, we start out with a decent listing of starting machinery. It's all owned. None of it is leased, and it all has well maintained, other than the Apache pickup truck. It's got 86 hours there and is down on maintenance just a wee little bit. With respect to animals, we do have animals at the main starting farm. Now, I did go ahead and pick up the second farm that's at farmland ID 32 already. So we are also seeing the animals that are up at that location, but we do not have any animals at the start. With respect to contracts, we do have contracts available on this map, and we do start out with one production with an oil well. This map also does include 100 Elm Creek collectibles. Let's go ahead and take a look at that starting fleet. We start out with McCormick X8 631 VT drive medium tractor. Then we also have the Fendt 1046 large tractor and the Case Axoflow 9250 harvester. The harvester is paired up with the 45-foot Terraflex Draper grain header. We have the Manitou MC18 forklift. We have, again, our 1958 Apache pickup truck. We have the Amperon 3401 and Rudolph TDK 301RA trailers. The Vector 570 cultivator and the ES Pro 6000 RC seeder. We have the Breedall K165 fertilizer and lime spreader. We have the Novacat A10 crossflow butterfly mowers and the Novacat 301 AM ED Pro front mower. We have the Fanex 904 tedder as well as the Merge Max 950 windrower and the Jumbo 120D column. We basically have a forage wagon. And then we have the Impress 185 VC Pro round baler and wrapper combination. Now, with respect to mods and DLCs, what is available with this map? The map comes with the ability to buy pallets because, again, we're going to need to have pallets for all of our production. So if we are not able to produce pallets, we can buy them here at the shop. In addition to that, we do have the compost mod, and we can buy compost. If we're not going to make compost, we can buy compost because we will need to use compost at those greenhouses. So we have that available. And then with the crude oil production, we do have some transport trailers to transport that crude oil. And we are going to also need some empty oil barrels, again, to process and collect some of that crude oil. Then finally, we have our Apache fleet side truck right here. Let's go ahead and do a rundown now of all of the productions. We, of course, have our oil well pump. That is the first thing that we had here, and that is the production that we start out with. We have 21 productions pre-placed on this map. Of those 21 productions, we have the Somerset BGA, fairly standard biogas plant that's going to accept silage, slurry, manure, and sugar beet cut and output digestate, energy, and methane. We have our bakery. The bakery is going to require pallets in order to produce our bread and our cakes, so that is going to be unique. Our carpentry facility is going to accept pallets and planks. Do note you cannot deliver raw logs to the carpentry facility because they are rather refined and they're going to only make furniture out of properly pre-processed wood. Our cereal factory is going to also require pallets in order to make cereal, and the same is going to hold for our dairy with respect to butter, cheese, and chocolate. Grain mill is going to require pallets in order to produce flours of our bags of flour, as well as our sunflower, canola, and olive oil press are going to require pallets. Grape processing is also going to require pallets, as will the sawmill itself. The sugar mill is going to require pallets, and the spinnery, as well as the tailor. Another crude oil pump. We're not going to need pallets here, but we will need to supply empty oil barrels that I did mention about earlier being buyable in the shop. Our medium refinery is going to take our crude oil and make our paraffin, kerosene, motor oil, bearing grease, and diesel. We have our flavored milk bottling factory that is going to accept milk, sugar, and oats to make our bottled oat milk. Milk, sugar, and soybeans to make our bottled soy milk, milk, sugar, and chocolate for chocolate milk, and milk, sugar, and strawberries for our strawberry milk. No pallets required here, so that is a good production if you don't want to mess with pallets. We've got our pallet factory. It's going to take straight up logs and produce those pallets. Then we have the farm supply factory. The farm supply factory is going to do a combination of various things. We're going to be able to output hay, TMR, mineral feed, silage, digestate, seed, lime, liquid fertilizer, solid fertilizer, and pig food. Then we have our 3 greenhouses that I mentioned. We have our standard greenhouses, which are going to make tomatoes, lettuce, and strawberries, but they are also going to require pallets and compost as inputs. And then we have a tree sapling greenhouse that is going to take water, compost, seed, and pallets, and it's going to output small tree saplings. I'm just going to quickly tab around a little bit in order to get to the starting farm. And now that we're here at the starting farm, we just do a little bit of a farm tour. Directly in front of us, we have our farm silo. And this is also a train transfer silo because, again, we have two tracks on this train, or we have two trains on this map. And one of the loops is going to run right here by the farm. We're going to be able to pull product out of and into the train from down here, and of course store it into our silo. Here we have one of the garden sheds. Again, I mentioned that there's going to be 5 of these garden sheds scattered around the map. If you see one of these, do note you can sell it, and as a result of selling it, the shed and often other things are going to disappear from the associated farmland. For example, up at the second farm, and quite frankly, I think this farm as well, if you sell that shed, the trees vanish. So kind of a neat little mechanic there. We've got a 3-bay garage. Of course, we have our dump and fill pipes here for this silo. And we do have a few storage buildings here on the map that store pallets. But do be cautious because some of these are configurable. So I can come up to this trigger and I can left click and I can basically disable the storage function. Or I can re-enable the storage function. Be very cautious. If you happen to have anything stored in here, I would not disable the storage function because it may vanish forever. So if we have our dump point here, 200 pallets are going to be able to be stored in here. And when it is in store mode, obviously you can't use the building. But when it's not in store mode, you could just make use of the shed however you wished. Here we have seed storage, liquid fertilizer storage, some of our sheds. And this is going to be another one of those configurable storage buildings. Over here along the side. In storage mode, we're going to hold 2,000 pallets or bales. And then we have the 2 silage bunkers. This one is going to be for producing silage. And we know that because when we go into the trigger, it basically says fill level chaff 0. Then the other one, which is going to be located right here, closer to the hayloft, is going to be for compost. And this one is compost because it says fill level biomass 0. So do be cautious. There's no other indicator on either of these as to which they are. So you will need to pay attention to the F1 menu as to which one is going to be which if you do not remember. We have our hayloft located right here. And we have nice convenient fill type icons showing us what is accepted here at the hayloft. So we have our dump and our fill pipe. We have our pigsty with 300 pig support. So we have our straw trigger there. We have our food trough. And we have our manure heap. And around behind the manure heap, we have our slurry point. Here we have our chicken coop. So we have our food for our chickens. Our eggs are going to spawn inside of here. Our chicken delivery point is going to be on the other side of the building. 500 chickens in total here. We have another hay and pallet storage. Now this one is not configurable. It's going to hold 1,200 bales or pallets. Then we have our cow building. This is going to be one with the feeding robot. So we were hay, straw, and silage or mineral feed here around the side. We have a manure heap. We have diesel storage. Some more storage for our machinery here. Fertilizer storage. There are food and straw inside the cow barn here. Or it should just be food. Straw's going to be outside. Located over here. So we have our slurry point. We have our milk point. Then we have our cow delivery point over here along the side. These are all Carpathian countryside buildings. If you have noticed that, but you hadn't picked it out exactly where they're from. 200 cows in total in here. And then we have a little garage. And our farmhouse. And something I always like to see is interable farmhouses. Farmhouses we can go into. And we have our sleep trigger here at the side room with the bed. Now, with respect to, are the farms customizable? Yes, they are indeed. All of the farms are indeed 100% customizable, including this farm. Anything that's left over after you sell the buildings will go away if you do sell that green garden shed. Down here at the bottom, we have our horse area. So we have our feed trough and our horse drop-off point. Well, for a total of 16 horses. Let's go ahead and take a look at our animal food requirements just to see if these horses or other animals are going to require anything specific on this map. Looks like cows are fairly straightforward, as well as sheep. Pigs are fairly straightforward, as well as our horses and chickens. So it looks like everything is in order with respect to those. Let's get a little of altitude and just kind of take a look at our starting farm here. We do have a fairly large area. Again, it's going to be fairly friendly for large machinery. And again, you can sell any of these buildings that you want. If you want to get rid of the pigs, you want to get rid of the cows, the chickens, and make further use of this space, you'll definitely have that capability. Now, as far as bees go, the beehive is located just down here by the railroad track. Now, something that I have not seen, or I did not see, is going to be the spawn point for honey. So let me just go ahead and put this down and see, does one already exist? So there was one already somewhere. Just where, oh where could it be? And here we go. So it's right beside the shed where we have our seed and liquid fertilizer storage, our solid fertilizer. We do have the trigger right there for our honey. Across the street from that, we have our sawmill. I did go ahead and buy those 3 greenhouses. That's where we're going to go now, coming across the southern part of the map over towards the east. They're going to be tucked up here in the woods. So we have those 3 greenhouses below. We have a grocery store sell point. And we've got a bit of a town area here. So we have our bowling alley. We have our dairy. We have our tailor, I believe, located right there. Got a grain sell point, our grape processing. We have our animal dealer. We're going to be able to possibly, let's see, can we buy this land? We can indeed. And once we buy that, we do have the ability now of basically picking up manure and slurry here, or storing it as well. So there's our main farm, just as a frame of reference. This is where the looping train line is going to be. So we have kind of an area right down from the forest to stage and load our train. There goes one of the trains. We're going to go through closer details on this farm later on in the video, but this is the second farm that is pre-placed on the map. We have a smaller farm. Directly off in the distance, you can see our biogas plant. You do need to own the biogas plant, and if you do own the biogas plant, you can sell the BGA. You can also sell the 3-sided bunkers there, as well as the large shed. On the other side of this forested area, we're going to find a refinery where we're going to be able to process our oil into other products. This is also where we're going to find our first kind of building site. And again, remember, we mentioned these green garden sheds. So anywhere you see one of these green garden sheds, you will be able to possibly sell deco elements or other items that are associated with that. It looks like this may have some, yeah, we already start out with 10 pallets of empty oil barrels and 10 pallets of pallets already up here at this pallet storage facility. Just south from there, we have a compost buying station. So we can buy compost from here. Here we have an icon on the ground. Here we're going to be able to sell various products. Slurry, manure, digestate. Then we have our chemicals that we can sell. This is going to be our biomass heating plant sell point. Again, we have icons as to what is going to be available to sell here as well. Coming downtown, we have our grocery, or not a restaurant sell point. Here we have our vehicle dealer. We're going to loop back to our vehicle dealer. And then here we have kind of the second area, second little town. This is going to be where a lot of our other productions and sell points are going to be located, as well as our train transfer silo. So this is where we're going to be able to transfer product from either of the two trains that one loop the map and cross in and off the map that act as a sell point. And then we can obviously put the product into a trailer from the train or from the trailer into the train. Another one of our building sites. And then this is the oil mill that we own at the start. And then this is going to be where we have our forklift also at the start. And remember what I mentioned about these green garden sheds. So if we highlight the garden shed, it's basically going to highlight what will go away if we sell it. And it should just take away a lot of the deco elements and the shed. So let's go ahead and sell it and just watch. So the deco element went away. Got a couple barrels that have remained. And then our forklift, right? Let's loop back over to our vehicle dealer. We're going to pick up our Mahindra and then do a drive around, try to check out most of, if not all of the factories and sell points, and then also do a thorough run through of that secondary farm. So down at the shop, we do have our vehicle trigger located right here. And we can see where our vehicles spawn at, right there by our Apache pickup truck. We have our Mahindra, so we've got a pretty decent sized area for our vehicles to spawn. And then over at this other shed, we have our service trigger, so that is clearly marked there. Then we also have our dealer right there, so we will be able to buy, sell, trade, repaint, and repair. As far as getting out of here, we have a very wide area to exit the shop. And as the description said, the map is going to be fairly friendly for large machinery. Roads are fairly wide, and we're not going to see a whole lot of traffic on those roads. Right across the street from our vehicle shop, we do have our Tim the Tool Time Tailor. No, just Timber Time workbook. So this is going to be where our carpentry shop is located. We're a pallet spawn point. We're a dump point. And we're going to have our interactive icon over at the other side. I did see a collectible located there as well. I don't want to spoil those locations too terrible. Now, up on the hill, we have a restaurant sell point. Just in case we don't loop back up around there. And then we have another restaurant right here at this intersection, right beside the ball field. There we have that. And now coming into town, we've got a whole lot going on here. So we have a grain sell point. We have a gas station. And then we're going to have the ability to buy gas as well as sell our crude oil production byproducts. We've got a rent train trigger located right there. Then we have our train silo that we already talked about with our dump and fill points here for the trailers. This is going to be our flour mill. Really base game flour mill. I need to go into a whole lot of detail there, I believe. double back up the street a little bit and then come back around. So we have our sugar factory located right here. Fairly standard. We have our pallet. We have our interactive icon. We're going to have our dump point here on the other side. Here we have our this is our pallet production facility. So we have our interactive icon. We have our dump point for our wood. And then our pallet spawn point for our pallets. Here we have a wood and wood chip sell point. Pallet sell point. So wood and wood chips. Conveniently, you can sell your pallets right down the street or right down the parking lot from where you are producing your pallets if you are not needing to make use of them on a production standpoint. Just south of the flour mill, we have one of those buildable sites. We have our oil mill located here for processing our sunflower, canola oil, and olive oil. Dump point, pallet spawn point, and our interactive icon is going to be here on the side. Our cereal factory is next. With all the associated triggers right here and nicely clumped together. Whoa. Okay, that is going to be our train sell point. I thought we could get to that. Let's back up the truck and make our way around. Looks like we'll need to double back. Because the only way across the southern part of the map is going to be via railroad. Make our way back through town then. And while we're driving back through town, let's talk a little bit about our map scoring. With 21 productions pre-built on the map, of course, we're going to be giving the map a full point with respect to production being built in or areas set aside for such. We technically have both on this particular map. With respect to the ability to sell all of our base game crops, animal outputs, and base game productions, yes, indeed, we do have that covered as well. In fact, we also have the ability to sell premium and platinum productions, all pre-built in, which is always a wonderful, wonderful thing to see. The farms can be completely customizable. There's no issues with anything remaining at any of those farms. So that's also another good point of interest. We talked about this on the fly through, but let's just go ahead and cover it once again since we're driving through the area. Here we have our biomass sell point. So we accept silage, straw, sugar beet cut, compost, hay, and grass. And then we have kind of an organic and chemical biotank sell point. Then we're going to be able to purchase compost from here in bulk. Just north of that, we have another placeable production point area. And then we also have the refinery located up here. So we have crude oil storage. We have our pallet building, which we saw already comes with a couple pallets of pallets and a couple pallets of crude oil barrels. Another oil well there, and then here we have our refinery. So we're at pallet point under the little lean-to area there. We have our interactive icon and our dump point. We have a fuel draw point right there to draw our diesel fuel out. Fair bit of forestry is available on this map, so if you are into forestry and you want to do farming on the side, or maybe you want to do forestry on the side with your farming, maybe explicitly over winter, I think there's a fair bit of trees on this map. You won't have too terrible much problem in not clear cutting the entire map just to keep up with something to do over winter. Coming up over here to our right, we have our biogas plant. And again, we can sell everything at the BGA if you want to completely change that around. Put down your own biogas plant, maybe from pumps and hoses, or one of the modular biogas plant options. Just checking to see if this is going to be a lime by silo or not. So yes, this is going to be a lime buying station, whereas this station over here is set up for compost. Let's see what this particular sell point is all about. This is Betty Joe's Trading Depot. Sounds like it's going to be a nice collect all sell point. Come on down to Betty Joe's Trading Depot. Make yourself a deal on the latest and greatest collectibles and knickknacks. Through our BGA. Heavy duty biogas plant because we can put product in both bunkers. And then we have the two large three-sided compacting bunkers right here. And room, really, you could put a couple more in all over this area. You can sell the shed if you don't want to need it or use it for storage. And lo and behold, look, we've got another one of those green garden sheds. So we can get rid of even more deco items here by selling that shed and everything that is kind of tied to it. Let's make our way over now to the second farm, the secondary farm, which is viable. And here we have our lane. Nice little bridge we're going to go over. Can't say too much or too little about these garden sheds and how you can use them to completely change the look and feel of things. We have our sleep trigger up here at this particular farm. We have our cow pasture. So we have our milk point, food point, water, and of course cows. 45 cows in here. We have a water point there. And we have, once again, two bunkers. So we're going to need to pull up our F1 menu. The bunker on the right is going to be for compost. The bunker on the left is going to be for silage. And we know that because when we walk in the bunker, it says fill level chaff versus fill level biomass. So here we have fertilizer storage. We have our farm silo here. Dump and fill point. Liquid fertilizer. Feed storage. 3-bay garage. Pallet storage for 250 bales or pallets. And this is going to be for our sheep. So we have our wool spawn point. And we have our food trough. And our sheep delivery point for 60 in total. And that is pretty much this secondary farm. But I want to just show you again kind of the way that this is set up. You see what the farm looks like now. And let's go ahead and sell it. And presto, a lot of the deco stuff went away. The trees are all gone now because we did sell that green garden shed. I do really like how that is all set up. So if you want to make the trees go away, but you don't want to have to cut all the trees down, well, just sell the shed. And there you go. Sorry, I've got a thing about covered bridges. I just had to. Let's loop back around. And we've got another kind of collection of things over here. And then we'll probably pretty much be close to done. With respect to buildings where purposely are using the new texturing technique, we're going to be giving the map a full point because we are basically making use of all FS22 buildings. Most of these buildings are coming out of Elm Creek. This map is listed as being a US-based map, at least from the kind of the entry description when you load the map up. So here we have our animal dealer, and we did buy this land, and this is going to be a manure heap and slurry storage. So initially I thought we could buy manure and slurry from there, but that is for storage only. It's not a buy point. We got animated animals through here. Nice to see. Nice to see. So we have our animal delivery point there. Then we're going to have a bale sell point located right here. And I like how it's set up. It's kind of set up as an old country county fair type setup. And we squeeze through here. We can if I drive better. So we have our starting farm right there. Now I believe there's a couple grain sell points that we've kind of skipped over. Our spinnery is below. We're not going to really bother with looping around to there. We do have a firehouse. I don't think this firehouse is usable, but we do have a firehouse for anyone wanting to play with the emergency pack. We have our dairy. We have our bakery. And just like Elm Creek, when you do collect your collectibles, they will appear here at the toy store. This is going to be a wardrobe trigger, I believe. Indeed. Indeed. A grocery store sell point over here on our left. Very courteous AI traffic. Letting pedestrians walk by. So we have our sell point for our grocery. And this is going to be a specific sell point. Kind of a storefront in a storefront. At any rate, this is going to be where we're going to be able to bring our flavored milk drinks. And let's just take a quick look at the PDA and see what else we maybe have skipped over. We have our gas, sale of petrol products. We have our supermarket, our tailor, our spinnery there. So that's okay. That's not our spinnery that we saw on the underpass. That is going to be the flavored milk factory. So let's just kind of go down there, and that's where we're going to finish it out. Now, with respect to trigger and interactive areas being clearly marked, we have not had any issues whatsoever. I was a little worried I wasn't going to be able to find the old honey pallet spawn point, but we found that easy enough because thankfully we did have some honey jars already go ahead and spawn. So we're going to give the map a full point there also. That is going to basically mean that this map is going to achieve one of the, sadly, most elusive scores ever of a perfect 5 out of 5. Really, I feel every map should be able to achieve 5 out of 5 because what we're asking for as far as scoring is not overly difficult. And I think every map should at least be able to achieve those 5 levels of things, regardless of the player. So we have our interactive icon, we have our dump point, and we have our pallet spawn point. I would love to know from you all what you all think down in below with respect to this map, Somerset. I really do wish that this was a map for all and not just a PC only map. I really don't know why it is only a PC only map because I do not feel that it is larger than a standard size map. We're making our way over here now to the extreme map edge, and it's basically a standard size map. There's no indication as to really why, other than maybe making use of a PC only required mods as to why this would be PC only. I would like to see it maybe come to console. Maybe it's coming to console and it's just got released for PC only right now. I don't know. I don't know the backstory or the history of the development or the intentions of the map author. But until next time, happy farming.